Another incredible double down day in Las Vegas at the Monster Jam NGK Sparkplug World Finals. Of course, you've been seeing all the highlights from behind the scenes online. Now we're going to recap it here at MonsterJamOnline.com. I'm Scott Douglas along with Mark Schrader and Greg Whitaker, who took care of all the festivities in all the Double Down Pit Party. And Greg, this is your first time here. I wanted to get you up here and tell these fans who click it in here how wonderful the Double Down is for the fans. You were in the middle of it all day long.
It was spectacular, Scott. I've never seen anything like this. The production from all the people that are with Monster Jam is just spectacular. I was on the stage and got to witness all of the people down here for the Double Down package. What a worthwhile time. If you have any chance to ever be at a Double Down, this is the place to be. With everything they experienced this afternoon out there with all the monster trucks, from the competitors to the non-competitors, and over 50 monster trucks to get an autograph from, it is just truly amazing. And everybody was down there to meet all the superstars of Monster Jam. It was truly great.
If you're a Monster Jam fan, you got to be a part of the Double Down. And then after Greg did his thing, we came inside Sam Boyd Stadium, and it all culminates with qualifying. Now, after a couple of practice passes, Mark Schrader, I could have given you 15 scenarios to pick me a different number one qualifier, and I'll bet you'd have never said Frank Kreml and Donkey Kong.
No, I absolutely would not have said Frank Kreml. You know, I love that guy. He's driven over 20 trucks in the Monster Jam Series in his career here. What an incredible night for Frankie. Number one qualifier all the way down towards the end of qualifying tonight. Frankie finally pulls out a 1650. What an incredible pass for Frank Kreml.
Now, the other thing about it is this. It is the closest, at least at the top, I've ever seen in qualifying. Kreml goes 1650. He had to get that to edge out Jimmy Cretin, Bounty Hunter. That guy is money on qualifying night, 1653. And then you look at this list, that Adam Anderson, it was right on in there at the again with a 1656. So it was 300s, and another 300s, and then Pablo Huffaker even equaled Taz. The ties were phenomenal.
Incredible. I talked to Pablo just a couple of minutes ago. We think about it as a pro stock race. You know, you're talking about hundredths of a second here. The top 8 in the bubble are all under 17 seconds in the 16th. Never in Monster Jam history has that happened.
Greg, like Mark, you're a guy who watches this all year long. Can you even think now there's a favorite? There's no favorite in this thing.
There's definitely no favorite, Scott. When talking to everybody on the stage during the pit party and the Double Down event, it was just amazing to hear that it roots for everybody, and nobody really knows until it comes down to this last. You had mentioned Frank Kreml. He does a superb job all night long in qualifying and stepping it up. Who would have known, though, that he would have been able to take out the likes of Jimmy Cretin, Pablo Huffaker, and Dennis Anderson all in one night? That is truly amazing for Frank Kreml.
You said a name that we got to mention one more time before we wrap this up. Dennis Anderson, not in the top 8. He'll have to race in round 1. In a real strange part of the bracket, he'll meet Air Force Afterburner in round 1 for the right to race Tom Mentz in round 2. And when that came up, you could just see the drivers on the track because they were watching as the brackets unfold like we did. It was like, what?
The heavy hitters, I said, only in Vegas could you get those kind of odds. The stars are aligned. The heavy hitters, there are going to be heavy hitters this weekend, tomorrow night, that are going to go out unexpectedly early. And incredibly enough, Tom Mentz, Dennis Anderson, Taz, Pablo Huffaker, these guys are all expected to be in the top 8, and several of them are not in it.
And you've got to also recognize that John Seasocket Batman, if he's going to make it 3 in a row, will have to do it the hard way. He did not get into that top 8. He'll race in round 1. Quick final thought, Greg, from your first Double Down.
Well, you mentioned that Tom Mentz and Dennis Anderson possibly could meet in that second round. They did it at the World Finals 3. Tom Mentz takes his record 13th straight victory over Gravedigger and took Dennis Anderson out of the World Finals 3. It could happen again.
Well, and it's been so rare that those two have actually raced on this track. This place will be on its feet if it happens in round 2 tomorrow.
You know, my final thought, it's kind of a technical one, Scott. This night tonight, weather-wise, has been a very cool, heavy-aired, a damp night. What that does, it makes the motors run very, very strong, creates a lot of horsepower. The weather prediction for tomorrow is going to be warmer. It's going to be a little bit drier. The air's not going to be as dense. I don't think we're going to see as fast at times in racing as we saw in qualifying tonight. So tomorrow night is going to be very exciting, just from a technical standpoint.
Now, we mentioned the other top qualifier seeding into round 2. Lindsey Wink and Blue Thunder also goes right to round 2. So does Mark McDowell in the Safe Auto Minimizer, as as does Charlie Pauken and the Monster Mutt. And you know, you're at the spot. Keep clicking on all weekend long. Kelly's been bringing you all these great reports all weekend. Mark, Greg, we're just going to jump in there and make sure you feel like you're right here with us in Las Vegas just by clicking here at MonsterJamOnline.com.